but 11 out of 15 is a pretty good percentage, in my opinion, right? So 11 out of the 15 plays that we had from the 15 play playbook last year, 2025, ended up doing pretty well, right? So, yep. I see a couple things in the chat. Let's break them down. Time management, me finding out what kind of trader, Cleve, we had this conversation last night, bro. I was just telling them we had this conversation last night. Improve my option plays for 2026. Got rid of a lot of temptations and distractions. One of the things I always tell my videographers, I say, yo, stay away from them distractions. You know, distractions come in many forms. Stay away from those distractions. If I feel like I'm going to a place that's going to distract me, I remove myself quick. If I feel like I'm around people, I'm not saying all we got to talk about is business stuff, but if I feel like I'm around you and you're not going to hold me accountable or we not going to push each other to get better, I want you far away from me, respectfully, far away from me. If we're not talking about building, even as friend, building as things going on, I'm not saying everything has to be a business relationship because it doesn't. But if you're not pushing me to say, yo, come get a workout with me, love to build with you and just communicate. You know what I'm saying? Yo, come do it, come to this event with me. Let's network a little bit. Or yo, maybe we do have a bit, maybe we could do business together because I don't believe you got to do business with all your friends. But just like, for example, last night, I go to the restaurant with Cleve, and that's his family's restaurant. And his family got multiple restaurants. But what me and Cleve's nephew do last night, exchange numbers. Because now the next mentee link up that we have in Atlanta, we're going to do something at his restaurant. Well, I'm going to take the money over here to Malone's, which no disrespect to them. You know, Malone's is one of my spots and we good there. And I got some other spots, Party of Five, but why don't I go to Cleve's family restaurant where the brother got some great things going on that can serve our people. He got the screen set up. And guess what? We're going to go over there and we're going to eat, fellowship, but then we're going to also handle some business too. The screens is everywhere and we're going to get busy. And that's how you change the quote unquote culture that everyone's talking about, right? The culture, blah, 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 blah. That's how you change it. Because now we able to fellowship and enjoy, but then at the same time, we handle business too. And that becomes the new norm. No more play without us going ahead and handling business as well too. So that's what I always say. It's balance to things. We want to have fun. We only get one of these. We only get one. But that's all we get. We don't get no do-overs either. So you're gonna enjoy it. We want to all enjoy this, but we also want to make sure we do it the right way. And for the people that come after us, we have something to pass down. Those are the conversations that me and Remar had this week directly on the phone. Me and Remar had a conversation, right? Talking about, hey, you know, and it was a conversation I brought actually here. I just didn't say I had it with Remar. But the conversation was that when I brought it here, I said, this could be our last time getting Bitcoin below 100K because the next run very well is going to take us over 100K again. Now, the question is, depending on how far it goes, if it goes to 150, 170, 200, or maybe 250, right? If it goes to 250, the 250 boys next time around are right. I'm going to say this, Bitcoin will never come below 100K ever again. So that's the type of situation we in right now. We're not saying that this the last ditch, but it's going. This is now. Your time is now. All we got is now anyway. So you can't sometimes really be focused on too much outside of your long-term investments and trusting the companies and the things you invested in to do what they're going to do. But you don't have the script. We don't have the script written. I'm sure some people in the background, names we don't know, have the script written. And I ain't talking about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I'm talking about the people that's really running this thing. I'm sure they got the script, but we don't even know where to go get it. We don't know where to find those individuals who will have the script. So what we got to stick to is our core principles and values of saying we are going to do things the right way. We're not just going to work hard no more. We're going to continue to work hard in the things that we do, but we're also going to work smarter. Be strategic. That comes with leveraging each other. And leveraging each other is not a bad thing. That's what we've done our entire existence when we were righteous and we were winning. This is just the facts, right? So we have to leverage each other the right way. Because there's some things that Cleve can do, I just can't do. There's some things Remar can do that I just can't do. There's some things that everyone in here can do, but I can't do it. Now, that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. That means that what? We should go vice versa. You got to be able to, there's some things that you guys could provide, some teachings you guys could go ahead and add value. I can't cut a hair or whip a paint, but guess what? If I want to host an event, I need to call Javon and say, yo, Javon, can you get with me? I need to call Raheem, who's another member here. I need to call the barbers out. I can't cut nobody's head for this event. So we got to leverage each other the right way. That's when we've been thriving in our most, when we leverage each other the right way, when we bartered with, when we work together, when that's how we create systems. And that's what I love that's actually happening here is people are taking this thing off the Zoom. People are coming into the person, into the events and saying, yo, let's tag team together. Let's hit these things together. When you bring in your family members, some people are old enough to now have maybe their daughters or their sons that they're bringing into the program. That's generational type education to say, no, mommy and daddy not just going to learn it, but also the young ones are going to learn it too. Whether you like it or not, these are the things that you need to learn because you're going to need it. Even if you don't think you need it right now, you're going to need it. So when my son sometimes don't want to chart on TradingView, he has to chart on TradingView because guess what? You're 5 right now, and we ain't making you do serious charting. But you want iPad time? Guess what? Daddy need TradingView time because you need to be on this Zoom and listen sometimes, and you need to be able to hear and speak to these things because it's important. You need to be on here learning directly how to chart. And that's what my son can chart up because he's been charting since he was 2, 3. Some of you guys have been able to see him come on and place levels and put points on charts. But also there's things that I passed down to through my DNA that he's just going to know. Just the reality. He's just going to know. My daughter, articulate, super, super duper articulate. And she's interested in wanting to learn about, she knows that I've been in meetings since she's been born. Since she's been born, she's been sitting inside. She know I've been, daddy's in a meeting, daddy's working. So she knows that hands down. She's had interest and now she's taking the interest because she know that stuff on her iPad, you know what I'm saying, that she's watching those skits, it ain't necessary. So guess what? Your iPad time is cut down. But now we got to have this conversation. Why? Because at 18, they should be before 18, but they should be knowing exactly, boom, this is what daddy did for us. Boom, we can see that to give them the head start that they deserve. Every child, because I ain't had a head start, but I was just smart enough to say, yo, at 16, I'm going to make sure that I pave the way. You get what I'm saying? Pave the way. So I think those are the conversations that, once again, we have to have more inside our community. And this is how we push ourselves further. This is how we do it through series of events and chains of action. You know what I mean? Because that's what we do. We don't do something one time expecting a change. No, you do something and you create a movement and you create a series of events that ends up creating a change. And what's popular is not always going to be right. And what's right will not always be popular. That's one thing, Miss Shaw. I take these life lessons seriously. Every morning, Miss Shaw, my principal in high school, this is what she used to say. Because guess what? There's some people in high school that peaked out respectfully. And they thought what was popular, what was right. Other people knew, like myself, that said, yo, what's popular right now ain't right, but it's okay. It'll come back around, and that time is now. Because people that I run into say, yo, L, got pulled aside the other day, man. I see what you're doing, man. I try, we should have listened to you. These are things people tell me. We should have listened to you. I said, I told you. You was over there, you thinking you're going to be a rapper, and you thinking you're going to do this, whoop-de-whoop, and you living in a 5-bedroom house, my brother, with 2-parent household. You ain't starving for nothing. We ain't saying things perfect, but you're in a better spot than some other people I know that really got to do the things that you trying to imitate and portray to do. You ain't got no business doing that. Mommy and daddy take care of everything. And that might be just the problem because you think that you got to show this lifestyle that, homie, you ain't ready to live. I ain't no gangster bone in this body and none of the people that I went to high school with. And if they was going to try to pretend, they was pretending. And now guess what? That led them, because they want to pretend, Now you might have a real charge because you wanted to carry a gun you knew you shouldn't have been carrying. You live in Henry County, Georgia, Stockbridge and McDonough, respectfully. That is nowhere near where you need none of that. You are perpetrating and pretending to be something you not being, homie. And that's what, I went to school with guys like that. Why are you pretending? We got brothers that play on Sunday in the NFL. Will Anderson that played for the Texans went to school with him. Good family, good household. We got tons of people that are doing great things right now, going into great professions. Why are you pretending to be a gangster? Enough of that. So that's how you change. It's popular. So you see, it was popular, but it wasn't right. It was popular, but it wasn't right. So you out here making it seem like a ton of black people is doing these things when it's a lie. You just perpetrating something you saw through music and you're not able to differentiate that these rappers is lying to you. Majority of them don't live that way. Just the regard, it's called social programming. And a lot of our people have been social programmed. And most people can't understand what Mills just said, entertainment versus reality. Most people don't have strong enough minds to listen to that and say, okay, that was just entertainment. Now let's get back to reality. You could get caught listening to that and thinking now you really want to embody that. But other people could listen to it and say, yo, when I listen to some of the music, I hear, a rapper say, I just ran up a 50, 100. I'm not thinking about going and doing nothing illegal to run up 50 to 100. I'm thinking about cutting on these options, hopping in these options, hopping in these undervalued tickers, and I'm gonna run up 50 or 100 the right way to where ain't nobody coming to knock at your door. Ain't nobody coming. You put your money in the right stop. Even if you put your money in OKLO early or Palantir early, there's people here that ran up 50 to 100 on Palantir alone. That's the type of 50 to, I ain't trying to run up 50. No, not if it ain't in this market or somewhere legal. It's too many legal ways of getting money to do anything illegal. Too many legal ways. It comes down to excuses and education. A lot of times when you guys see me on the Zooms in the morning and I'm at the office, you guys will hear the young kings come up to me. And the young kings come up to me and say, yo, Mr. Lawrence, what's going on? I'm like 4 years older than some of them, 3 years older than some of them. But you know what? They want to learn so bad. And I teach them in the times that I've taught classes. Some people that came to Pittsburgh Yards have seen when the young kings come up to me, right? Because they hungry. Those are still the same young kings that was on the corners from the perspective of not selling anything bad, but some of them were water boys and Gatorade boys, right? So they had the hunger and they may have been willing to dibble and dabble in things they had no business doing. But they got grounded. They joined the Kintups program. And guess what they said? They said, yo, we trying to learn directly from people that can teach us. The young king came to me and said, yo, Mr. Lawrence, I'm learning how to fix cars. And I've been going to the mechanic shop and now I'm about to get certified. As soon as I get my first checks, I'm coming to you so I can invest them. He ain't got no liabilities. Now I done changed his whole mind. He ain't thinking about going spending money on anybody he don't need to spend it on. He ain't going and thinking about doing anything stupid, taking his first check and hitting up Lenox Mall. That ain't even in his thoughts. The first thing he thinking about is take care of obviously the things that I'm sure he got to take care of. But he immediately said, yo, I'm getting in this market. I'm putting my dollars to work. So that's how you change things. Now we get more young black men that's employed and young black sisters continue to be employed because they blowing us out the water. The numbers are just the numbers. Shout out to all of our black queens in here and our black sisters. But we now switching the mindsets, right, of saying, hey, boom, we're going to invest our money and not just take our money and invest in companies that are publicly owned, but also invest our money within our communities to grow our own businesses because that's when we were thriving. We were thriving not when we were taking our money and spending it all and giving it for these corporations and the profits. We built our communities off of investing in one another's business and keeping our dollars circulating between each other. But this is how we do it. The stock market is one vehicle, but it's not the only way. It's one vehicle, but it's not the only way. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll get off this and we'll get rolling. The last thing I'll say is No one is telling anybody to quit their jobs because a job is going to be soon a commodity. And listen to what I just said here. A job, I'm not going to say necessarily in 2026, but more steps will be taken. A job will soon be a commodity. So listen to what I said. We're going to clip that thing up. A job will soon be a commodity because these companies, they're harsh. They ain't looking to save black and brown people. We just speaking facts. Jobs are not looking to save black and brown people. They're looking to eliminate us. These are just the facts. They are looking to eliminate us. AI is to eliminate the everyday black person. Just what it is. Everyday black and brown person. So if we don't tighten our stuff up now, we got no chance to get back from this. So got to be all hands on deck. There got to be, hey, pride put to the side. You ain't going to like everybody, but you do need to have a level of respect for everybody. Unless they don't have respect from you, you just stay away from them. But you do, this is the time. This ain't no time to be bickering on social media. We ain't got time to be arguing with each other. None of that. And if you got something to say to somebody, you call them on the side and you get with them. That's what real accountability and real people would do. If you got something to say to somebody, we all got numbers and we all got emails and all of that stuff. There's no reason that in 2025 or going into 2026, we shouldn't pick up the phone and call somebody. That's just really my thoughts. No reason you shouldn't be calling somebody, right? You got to make sure that you are going to make sure to call somebody and have contact with them, right? It's too much. We ain't got time for bickers and beefs. We don't have time at all, right? We need to make sure that we locking in and we taking care of business. No time for distractions. No times to sit here debating. 2026, I'm not doing no debating. We just working. If you feel what I'm putting down this morning, put some fires in the chat. We just working. No time for debates. No time for nothing. We just putting in that work. We got no time for debates. We coming from behind. These just the facts. We coming from behind across the board. So we got no time to debate with nobody. We got no time. We got to just push. Push, push, push. No time for debates. This is game time. All hands on deck. And if you don't like somebody, just stay away from them. Don't get on social media talking about them. Nothing. Let's lock in and let's stay focused because we got the opportunity right here in our hands right now to deliver this value. Let's get it. Let's get it. So everyone that's here in the building, I want to give you your flowers and I want to take time to actually highlight a few people as far as their attendance for 2025. Because as you know, I can see everyone who's watching the videos. So I want to give a couple special shout outs to some people. I want to give a first shout out to Miss Linda Thomas. Miss Linda Thomas, you're infectious as far as being inside this community, right? And you've shown up nonstop. And anytime there was a call, a recording, you've been it. One of the times you've been multiple times, majority of half the year, we have a Zoom call. Miss Thomas is one of the first 10 people to join the Zoom. So like I said, I've been taking notes of who's been here and who's actually been coming to class. So I do want to go ahead and give you your flowers, right? Because you have shown up consistently here, right? Over and over. I also want to give a special shout out to Mr. Moore. All right, Mr. Moore, you joined the community within the past 6 months. You came in and you made no excuse. When we had our initial conversation, you said, yo, this is, time to switch things up for myself. You came in and Mr. Moore came in and pulled the trigger. He made no ifs, ands, buts about it, and he executed off the information. And so I want to give you your flowers as someone that's been consistent here in the community, and you've been to 97% of the classes. 97% of the classes, you've had attendance or watched the recording. So 97%. So I do want to give you your flowers in that. So I do want to say thank you to you for your support, your consistency, and being disciplined as you've been. Also want to give flowers to Kevin Thomas and Dr. Kurt Watson. So Dr. Kurt Watson, this was around the 4th of July, and you brought a couple of people into the program. You sent a couple of people over. But Dr. Kurt Watson, I want to give you your flowers. Not only have you gotten other people involved, but you've also been in the community for, you've been a part of the 5Y Club. So you've been in this community for 5 years plus now. So you've executed not just this year, but previous years. So that can't not be spoken on and talked about because you've been consistent, right? And showing up and being accountable, right? And asking the right questions and being here every single time you can. You know what I mean? So I do want to give you your flowers. That doesn't go unnoticed, especially as a 5Y member, someone that's been here for 5 years. I do want to give you your flowers. All right. Next person I want to give their flowers is Miss Lakita Jordan. Now, Miss Lakita Jordan joined in June of 2024. We met at an event. Ashley Fox, Robert Boyd, Amplify. Miss Lakita, the reason why she in the places she is, because she a straight shooter. While everyone knew that I was the person that taught the options class, and they probably had questions, but they probably was like, I don't know if I want to go up to him. Miss Lakita, being where she from, she's a straight shooter. She said, I'm gonna go talk to him. Boom, pulled me to the side. Hey, I'm trying to learn what you know. How can we make that happen? Exchange contact information. Boom. She been here every day since. That's all I'm gonna say. Be a straight shooter. She wasted no time. She said, I'm trying to learn what you know. I heard you in the class. I appreciate the information you shared, but I gotta know more. Before she even touched back down to her home city, she was already in the program. By the time she was in the program, by the time she got in the program, she'd been on every Zoom that she could be on with ups and downs because life is just going to happen. Every Zoom she was able to be on, she's been on. And every recording she needed to watch, she watched it. You get what I'm saying? So I got to give her flowers. You know what I'm saying? So she asked the right questions. She shot her shot straight. And that's just where it is. She at the point she at now. So I want to just give you your flowers here right this morning. And shout out to all the West Coast people that's in the building. I see Daniel. I know we got a ton of West Coast people, but my West Coast people stand up. I see LaRone hanging around here. Miss Antoinette is always in the building. West Coast people, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for 2026 for you guys, right? And I love you guys is to those first people that joined on the West Coast. Make no excuses. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to do this on the West Coast, it's a 3 hour time difference. You know what I'm saying? You see the fires in the chat. It's 5:12 a.m. right now for my West Coast people. 5:12 a.m. So to my entire West Coast community, nothing but flowers given to you guys because it take a different grind. You get up over there, you know what I'm saying? Right now, it's pitch black right now. Ain't no sunshine. So super, super excited. Let's go ahead and get into this thing. End of the year. So let's talk more in depth and let's talk about on the weekend, best ways to really maximize, right? Let's talk about weekend maximization here this morning. The most important things to do during the weekend. And it starts with you running back down your week. So we are recording, we're good there. AI notes are being taken. Let's make sure the recording. Yep, we are still good before I go ahead and get started. So let me see here. There we go. All right. So let's two things because for some reason, I don't know why this. Mm, 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 mm. See this. Oh, wow, trading view. This is some of the issues I was having this morning. It's like everything else is fine, but for some reason, the Wi-Fi is tweaking for a second. Hold on 1 second, guys. Come right back. I just cleaned this Wi-Fi up. Hold on 1 second. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna just transition over to my iPad. All right. So I think it's super, 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 super duper important. Um, super, super duper important. Because I'm trying to share this information. I'm on this Zoom and there's no issues. I don't know why, but I'm gonna have to reset this again. Not sure why. I haven't had no issues using this iPad this morning. But let me bring myself in over here so I can share my screen with you guys and get to business. Have those notes ready. And happy birthday. You got a birthday in the chat. So happy birthday. I haven't been in there. All right. Transfer. There we go. All right. Can everybody hear me over here now? You guys hear me on a I. All right, cool. You guys should be good to go. Cool. So yeah, we'll figure this out. But this connection is good because it's got to work over here. Reset this real quick. Reset this computer. Restarting. And all right, it's gonna restart. Cool. We'll try it in a second. But all right, so get this going. And here we are. All right, so let's pull up our trading views, and I want you to pull up your Yahoo Finances. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and we are recording. So there we go. Bingo. All right. Everyone should see my screen. All right. And they should actually, let me make sure I'm spotlighted. Boom. There we go. All right. Everyone should see. So now what I wanted to pretty much discuss is as we get ready to close here, we close, obviously closing out this end of this year. A couple things to discuss. Now you have um, some of my top investments and strategic strategies actually at the top here. So you definitely want to go to, if you're on the live, you want to go to the YouTube because you won't see my screen on IG. But when you actually can go through and look across the board at the end of the year, the VIX is actually breaking below 15. So the VIX right now has actually gotten below 15 here just as of yesterday. So the fear is actually left of market. Now I wanted to talk about as well Core Weave and Circle. We did see a risk on type appetite yesterday. So where the businesses that don't have things all the way together yet, those are the businesses that actually ran, right? So you see A Lab, and then you also seen Circle and Core Weave. So I want to explain the difference between a risk on versus a risk off appetite, right? Because there's tons of times where we have businesses, right, that fall into the risk on versus maybe the risk off, right? So like a business like A Lab and CoreWeave, and then as well, when we are taking a look at Circle Internet Group, they are all going to run because of what? They're going to run because now those are the same businesses that when the market is going up, they're going to have major, major runs to the upside. And the reason why is because people are in a risk on type appetite. When people are risk off, they sell those names. So anytime people want to take risk off the table, they go ahead and they take their money actually out of Circle and Core Weave. They take their money out of those names. When you take a look at A Lab, the reason why A Lab can go up 18%, $18 or 12% in a day, right, is they actually, one of the things, they had earnings growth of 68.2%, significantly outperforming the tech sector's 2.16% gain. So A-Lab is showing you right now with their earnings growth, and what did we talk about 2026? It is earnings justification season. So in 2026, if you can't justify your earnings at the prices that you sit at, your stocks will come down, right? Your particular equity will come down if that stock cannot justify their earnings. So next year is all about earnings justification. You have to show us now. We've taken you this far without you actually being able to provide us maybe the requisite numbers. But you need to go ahead and, like I said, you have to be able to see now these things play out here over a period of time. So that's what I stress to people is it comes down to earnings justification. Now you also have on the weekends, what are the main things that we should actually do? And I think this computer is going to work now. Let's see. What are the main things that you should be doing on the weekend? And yep, it's going to work. So I'm going to switch over here, back over here in a second. Right. The main things on the weekend start with you taking your stocks from your watch list and evaluating what they did for the week. So getting some ideas going into next week and taking a look at the technicals as well. So you should do all your level setting. I want you guys to put your level setting down on your notes. During the weekend, it's time for level setting, seeing and evaluate where prices went to. And I'm actually going to pull this back over here real quick because I just prefer to use this. And we are good to go now. Come into the Zoom. All right, so you want to make sure you're level setting and putting levels down on your chart properly. That's important because now you should have an idea of once again what you are looking at before each week starts. You should have an idea. And hold on one second because I'm about to go back over here. Switch. There we go. All right, cool. Everyone should hear me good and go right back into sharing. All right, so your levels should be set. There we go. So now I analyze what happened here with the QQQ. I'm gonna go solo screen for teaching purposes today. It always starts with your indices. Get an idea what your indices are doing. Even if you may have a setup on an individual equity that you like, you should always go verify it on the indice first. Those are steps number one, because without the index moving in the right direction, there's no way for the stock that you're currently trading to move in the right direction, right? So if the indices are usually moving downward, most stocks are going to move downward. Indices move upward. I'm not going to say all stocks, but the stocks high asset allocation are going to move upward. So if you noticed last week, and even in the after hours, when you now make sure that you actually are turning on your session to extended hours. So you want to make sure you have that on so you can see the post in the pre-market. So you should make sure that you have monthly, weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, 15 minute, 5 minute time frames. So now with everyone that's here on the Zoom, you guys are able to know, and that's following us on YouTube, right? You are actually able to go ahead and take this information and actually use it to your benefit because now you've done your level setting. Majority of times, each stock, when it pulls back and it breaks below an old resistance is going to do what? Turn into new support. So you got when you guys see predefined levels, we now know above this 618 the wall is right here at 626, right? Because we've had multiple points of rejections where prices actually went and came and pulled back down. So we haven't been able to, like I said, we haven't been able to consistently actually break out or anything like that. Not significantly to the upside. We've been lagging. Price has been lagging actually behind. So the QQQ is actually trying to break out, but it needs to get over that 626. So this is where I say you can never get too high off a high, but you also can never get too low off a low. I know there's a lot of people right now that are, going to see the market. When the market pulls back, it's like we have these one red days, and that's because we're just so addicted to the market just going up and not having any requisite pullbacks. But that's not always how the market is going to move. The reality is that what I want you guys to see is that what do you have a plan for when the worst of the worst could happen? So if a correction comes into this market right now, do you even know where correction lies? 574 on the QQQ. You see how that's because you've done studying. When you look at a correction on S&P 500, that's going to be at 618, 619. You should be able to get these boom, 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 boom. But that only comes through studying and doing this multiple times and regurgitating the same information. So there's been some people that are not here right now. I'm gonna say this. It's some people right now that's not on the Zoom. They said, man, L say the same things. But let me say this. I might say the same things, but here's the thing. If I'm saying the same things and you still ain't getting it, that's on you. You know what I mean? Going into 2026, we not waiting for nobody. We taking the people that's here right now, that's showing up every single day or every single time they can, watching and recording. We not gonna make no excuses for nobody that's not here that's gonna say those things, right? Because at the end of the day, if I'm saying the same things and you still ain't catch on, that just means that there's something maybe a little bit going on with you. You know what I mean? Because you have to take in this information and actually use it because once you do, you're going to understand it more. So looking at like the QQQ here at 626, that's going to be your wall level. Very, 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 very important. That's your wall level. So guess what? If 2 months from now QQQ is still in its range, it'll still be the wall. So unless the market is able to move, I mean, these levels are already predefined. So you should review each week and have the stocks that and equities that you're looking at, and you should have them on replay. Now, let's say Netflix, which is a name I'm watching and interested to see. Netflix, which is stuck in a range right now, is currently at 94 bucks. If Netflix is on your go-to, where you're trying to look exactly to be able to see and say, okay, well, I want to know where I can get some good value. Saturday is also your research day. So you could start to look back and say, where would I be interested in Netflix at? My personal opinion is I'm interested in Netflix at 50 bucks, right? From the perspective of when you are thinking about building a new long-term position or building a position in general, I think it's at that $50 point where Netflix would be a really attractive buy. Now, is this a bad buy up here? I think it depends on who you ask. But it's just like I said before, that $82, because these buyers have stepped in here in April. If we were to lose that, the January 2025 and April low, the selling momentum that would drag us down would send us, in my opinion, down to 55 bucks. So where and Netflix wouldn't do this fast, but you also have to look at where the chart is at. This is, I mean, as good as it gets of a public participation phase from June 2022 all the way up here to the peak point. So you got to know where if you're putting your dollars into something. Saturday, I like Saturdays and Sundays because the market is not open. So it makes it easier to study when targets are not being hit or levels are not being popped and came down to. So what you're able to really see and dissect is you're able to see things in slow motion because actually nothing's moving. So the best time to me to analyze is post market, pre market. Well, pre market is moving probably a little bit more post hours, during the evening time, but really when the market is closed. Best time to, analyze. We'll just say that, right? Because now, you are looking here and seeing that we go from, right, $17 all the way up here to $135. Then we pull back down and we're here at $94, right? So if we do get underneath this 82, right? We do get underneath this $82. You can see that that's strictly where the buyers are at because of these wicks. Now, this is the monthly time frame. So you had 3 months in a row where price was not able to get below 82. So you can conclude that if price was to pull back down, and this is how you interpret price. I'm teaching you guys right now how to interpret price because this is a language. So when you come back down and you are to potentially break below $82, those sellers have taken out those buyers. There was not enough buyers to step in here and hold this level strong, which then leads the trickle down effect of now coming and hitting these levels, the low of the higher low, right? Notice you're making higher lows and higher highs. What's the makeup of any uptrend? Higher highs and higher lows. And that's on any time frame, weekly, daily, monthly, right? 1 hour, 4 hour, 30 minute, 5 minute. It just matters as far as the timing. So what I'm saying to you guys is this, right? when you are looking and monitoring the market, you should always be coming from the perspective of sometimes the worst can happen and having a plan and a fail safe, right? Because last time when we seen in October 2019, when Netflix went from 250 to 700, in the moment, no one thought this pullback was going to happen. But when it does, and Netflix goes to 140, 150 bucks, what I'm hearing, once again, I'll pull the publications if I need to, but you guys can as well. Disney Plus is going to take over Netflix. Disney Plus, the competition's in. Disney Plus is the future. Okay. No disrespect to Disney, but Disney Plus ain't no future. Netflix was the then and is the now. Will they be the forever? It's hard to be the forever. We've had some companies to be the forever. Ain't nobody come and knock Procter and Gamble off their face, but Procter and Gamble ain't no growth company either. So you have to look at it from those perspectives. When you usually the companies that get knocked off the top is your Cisco's that got a little bit too fat and greedy. They thought they were something, or your IBMs, which has made a resurgence, right? But at one point in time, IBM got a little bit fat and greedy as well, too. Netflix is showing you through the deals they're making, they're not becoming complacent. They're still making deals to make sure that they're in a good spot. But here's this, right? The momentum very easily can change directions on it already has, but it could accelerate. Now, are we saying Netflix come down to $20? No, because I think that would be extremely far-fetched. But you also have seen when companies do get complacent that they can see massive pullbacks. Netflix has had issues in the past, not issues to say they were on the brink of destruction, but there were some serious problems. They were over hiring people, paying people astronomical salaries that didn't make sense, and they had to trim and cut those things back. Paying people astronomical amounts to not really fulfill and do their jobs. And so they had to cut back. And so now we look here, 40 to 60 bucks, that's a load zone, right? That 40 to 60 bucks area, that's a load zone. Could it materialize? For sure it could. Do we want it to? Uh, the selfish part of us, but for people holding Netflix, they don't want this thing to pull back like that. But it's about where and when you buy. I think I would be foolish if I told people, yo, you just go buy any price, right? What sense would that make? Netflix is a business right now. This is where we go ahead and we take it to the Yahoo Finance. Let's talk about, okay, well, business evaluation softly, right? How do you go ahead and softly? Well, now this is a stock with a 39 P to E. Now we know they just made the deal with Warner Brothers. Now I'm gonna ask you this question. With them making a deal with Warner Brothers, does that hurt their profitability short term? Yes or no? With them making a deal with Warner Brothers, yes or no? Hurt their profitability short term with Netflix? Yes, correct. But can the deal with Warner Brothers bring them back profit over time? For sure. Could we put a timeline on I would say I won't say it's tough to do, but it's something. Sometimes you got to let things play out, right? Trying to time everything. Oh, this will be here by. It's hard to time everything. You could time certain things, but you don't want to be the person that says I'm timing everything. That's incredibly hard to do. But there's relative ways where we can look to evaluate to say, hey, we can have a prediction and a spoiler, right? Because a lot of things are high probabilities where you could see them playing out. With Netflix, though, I predict that they go down first, right? Because they spent money, and that's just what happens. In order to get Prime, which we got now, just by the way, Jeff Bezos had to argue with investors of getting Amazon Prime and what money he was spending on Prime. These are just the facts. So that means he was arguing with his own investors about the benefit of Prime and what it could do for the business and the company. And these things happened in 2016, 2018. He's going back and, he had to answer that. But it turned out to be what? A good, a great company, not even good, because you can be a good company and not do this. A great company is going to take their profits and invest it back in their businesses to make it better for their consumers. And that's why Amazon is what it is today. That's why we consider it now, 7, 8 years later, anything that we want, you can have it at your door within by the afternoon. I could order something on Amazon. It could be here by 12, depending on what it is. Or it could be here by tonight, or to be here early morning tomorrow, depending on what you need. And Amazon is putting other companies, continue to put other companies out of business, out of business. And the fall of Walgreens and CVS is about to happen. Oops, my bad. Maybe I let too much out the bag. My bad. My bad. But you heard it. The fall of CVS and Walgreens is happening. The question is, are people prepared for it? Because it's happening all around you. Pay attention to how many CVS's and Walgreens is closing down near you, or places you used to go to see CVS and Walgreens and ain't there no more. Amazon got something to do with that. Just gonna tell you that right now. The fall of CVS and Walgreens. Night night. Just like Rite Aid. How many people remember Rite Aid? The fall of them. Telling you now. They got, So the fall of CVS and Walgreens just looming in the background. That's all I'm gonna say. I let it. So there's something I got developed right there on that. I have that already ready to be published, and I'll publish that early next year. So those are my thoughts on when you take a look at the marketplace. You also have to go outside and take a look at and sometimes study, right? I also said, this week, for example, if Lululemon, right, which has been a ticker we provided a coverage on for months. So the ways that you should look at Lulu is say, okay, well, on these macro, now that things have slowed down, you always want to take a look at this monthly time frame, right? You start down with a top-down analysis. You go monthly, weekly, daily. So you get an idea to be able to say, okay, what exactly has been happening on your particular equity? In this case with Lululemon, we know that the stock is pulled back from 520 to 160. But the question you have is that truly a discount? Because certain stocks pull back from a price perspective, but that don't mean that they're good buys or great buys. Just because the price pulled back, a stock could fall 50% and still not be a good buy. Now you're seeing certain uh, active activist investor, Elliott Management, and just other people who are coming into the stock. Lululemon sales are still down 2%. But what do people see? People buy things off of value. So the value of where you could get Lulu at 150, 160 just made sense to people, which it made sense here because I highlighted it. I said it'd be far-fetched to see Lululemon go any lower without just some sort of extreme drop more, right? From earnings or something. So 2% miss on sales, people are kind of able to accept it. Now, is Lulu going back to 500? No. But this is a good value range. Because why? It erased 5 years worth of gains, but the price, where is it at? So if you were trying to take a shot and the value and the price matched, you would do it. You pull the trigger on names that you want when the price and the value match the same, right? So then when you also take a look at a company, Marvel Tech, and I'm giving you guys some 2026 predictions and numbers. So pull up Marvel. So you got Lulu there. You now know if that thing revisit, because I don't think it's done falling yet. I think it's going to retrace back down. At 160, 180, what you should be looking at. So let's talk about Marvel Technology, which has been a company that, people have wanted to get exposure into. But let's take a look at some of its fundamentals. Its implied outstanding shares is 848 million. Marvel has a bit more debt than cash, but it's not a horrible thing. They can service that debt. Also, with some great profit making quarters, they can also build that cash reserve to take out some of that debt. So the thing with Marvel is they are a bit forward priced. So what do I mean by that? If you also look here on a monthly, you see that Marvel in the past 5 years hasn't really done much. It's been within the same range. So you could take the past performance now in 2024 and early 2025. Marvel had an incredible run here to the upside, looking really, they was looking really, 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 really good, right? Here on the up and up. But until if Marvel pulls back down and breaks through 74, 72, price will come back down here. into the 40 and $30 range. This tells you where would be the price that you would want to gobble this thing up because you can see the demand here during this timeline. So that also you combine that with the technicals and the fundamentals. I probably wouldn't buy Marvel unless it fell 50%. So you put that down on your list of saying, okay, these are your things, right, that you are looking to do. Push come to shove, know where you're comfortable to get an entry at. My personal opinion is I wouldn't touch Marvel unless it was $45 or lower. And guess what? If it goes to 120, I'm fine with being wrong because I didn't want to overpay for the business in the first place. Because I always like to use these sports analogies, and I'm gonna use it here. You can't get every good player in the NFL. There's some good players that are gonna come in free agency, and you just can't afford them. You don't have the cash to be able to go and get them right now. That's why there's a salary cap, and the money that you have available is capped. We don't have infinite money. We're not the Federal Reserve, so we can't just print money and say, okay, well, another one, boom. So you have to be mindful of what you're spending your money on and where you're buying it. And it's okay if you were gonna have to overpay for a good player, you're fine with missing out on them, realistically. Like I'm fine if I miss out on a good player, but I would have had to overpay because I would rather find, I'd rather have someone on a rookie deal. And shout out to Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sure you guys will appreciate this. The reason why Philadelphia Eagles have been so good is not because of the players on the field. The players on the field have played their role, but it's also the person that selected the players, right? Because the players on the field have done their piece. I won't say they haven't, because that's the wrong thing to say. I want to rephrase that. The players on the field have played their role, but the person that deserves the MVP is Howie Roseman. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. The person picking the players, but also knowing when to let certain players go. What does that mean? That's your portfolio management. So when Philadelphia Eagles decided to let go of CJ Gardner Johnson, that was a smart thing to do. When they decided to let go of Darius Slay, which Darius Slay is an all-time Eagle, but you were past your prime and you were a step too slow. And we needed to upgrade the defense. We appreciate you for your service, but we not overpaying you, homie. We not paying you more than what you need to be paid. And this is business at the end of the day. So you'll come back and we'll make sure you're taken care of. Maybe down the line, you can come be a coach on this sideline or you could sit in the front office. But here for now, you got to get up and go, homie. And we appreciate you. But how he makes this and he does this right. He's going to make trades with other teams to get valuable assets on a discount. And that's why the Philadelphia Eagles have been so good. It's not Nick Sirianni because he's just a placeholder coach, respectfully, with all that talent that Howie Roseman has done. So Howie is the true MVP of the Philadelphia Eagles because he's been instrumental in getting the assets at the discount that can then go play on the field the way that they needed to be done. When he needed to lock up Saquon, he ain't waste no time. That's what a smart person would do. The same way that we should come in here to this market when we know we see something at a discount, waste no time about it. Put your bread up. So just like Howie, when he find that discount, oh man, I need it. Boom. I need it. That's what a great GM would do. He's going to go and grab and put the pieces in place. So we're all GMs of our portfolio. So when we see an asset on discount, we may have to sell something else that we know it's time to get out of to go pick up that asset on a discount and say, this is a good buy here. And we don't give max money. We just don't. We never give max money to players that have not really proven themselves, at least a little bit yet. You don't jump the gun and just throw a contract out there. That's a recipe for a disaster. Tua Tagovailoa. Sorry, Dolphin fans. We don't give 250 million. That's max money to someone that can't show me they can consistently stay on the field. These are just the facts that I'm just preaching. I'm just using football to break it down. Tua can't stay on the field. No way I'm giving him max money. So you think you should be giving, and this is no disrespect to Tua Tagovailoa because I like the brother, But it's at the end of the day, he ain't been able to stay on the field. You don't give max money to companies that don't have requisite earnings. You just don't. But you know who you give max money to? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. These people you give max money to because these brothers have proven themselves. You don't have a question over what Matthew Stafford is going to put on the field. You know what he's going to put on the field. And to my Falcons fans out there, right? You guys know you're going to pay Drake London because you know the product he puts on the field. If anything else, you're going to pay him and Bijan. And the Daniel that's in here that's a 49ers fan, you guys knew, yo, we going to lock up Brock Purdy. And we going to get him locked now before that market go up. And we just going to lock him in. But you want to know what the mistake of where the 49ers went wrong? They paid Brandon Ayuk. So what does that mean? You don't pay bad attitudes. And you don't pay companies that's not going to be consistent. You don't pay companies that's up and down. One quarter this, next quarter that. Next quarter, you don't want to put your pads on. Put your pads on, man. Let's get to work. That's the same thing as these up and down teeter-totting companies that's cooking books. Brandon Ayuk is equivalent to SMCI. It's like, oh, snap. Here we go. Roller coaster up and down. You got the talent, but if you could just sit yourself on the field and stop from being beside yourself, maybe we can get something done, bro. But your attitude problems is going to be the reason we don't really want to deal with you. So, yeah, we'll give you a little bit of money, but you never give max money to companies that are going to be up and down, up this quarter, down the next. And you don't have that consistent leadership. So that's the way I know to break it down. That's the way I look at these. All these companies are players. Which companies I'm giving the max contracts to? Because Patrick Mahomes is Nvidia, exceeded all expectations that was had. That's just what it is. Patrick Mahomes is the Nvidia of this market. Came in trailblazing like that. Boom, boom, boom. You give max money and you don't waste no time. What Kansas City do? 10-year, 500 million. Because we're gonna lock you down, bro. We're gonna get you 10-year, 500 million. Patrick Mahomes is like the 10th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Why is Patty Mahomes that? Because he's a team player. I'm in a small market. I gotta make this thing make sense. There's only a certain amount of dollars that can go around. Only a certain amount of dollars that can go around. We're limited in the capital and the capacity. So we got to look at it that way. We need businesses at discounted prices. So you got to know your situation and say, hey, am I in the Oklahoma City Thunder market? Why Sam Presti? We just talked about GMs. Now we're going to take it to basketball. Sam Presti, for people that don't know, he fleeced the Los Angeles Clippers. We just going to call it what it is because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he liked that. Best player in the world right now is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Smooth as can be. You can't guard him. Last night we had Ant Edwards hold it down here from the A. He snatched him up a bit, but Shai is the reigning MVP for a reason, an NBA champion. But here's what Sam Presti did. He got all their assets. He traded Paul George, which was an asset that was going to be on the decline. And these are just the facts. Let me show you. Paul George is equivalent to XYZ because this is what his play did. It went up. It was the same for a bit, and now it went down. And now it's in an accumulation phase. And it's no disrespect. These just the facts. Paul George is with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's the fourth best player on the team, respectfully. So you, from the Los Angeles Clippers perspective, that was a good trade for OKC. Not a good trade, a changing of the franchise type trade because he did what Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant never did, never could do, was win a championship in OKC. KD had to tuck his tail and go to Golden State. These just the facts. So when you look here, now we talk about it and we see, boom, Paul George is equivalent to XYZ because this is a bad trade. You remember the future, the future, the future. So now this drops off and now it's trading sideways. But then you also look at Roku, same way, goes on a run, but then doesn't provide you any value. So now you're buying things where they don't have any value up here. You're overpaying. So what did OKC do? They got rid of Paul George. They sent him to the Clippers. And that's why the Clippers are in the situation they in now where they don't control their future. And you don't want to be in that position where now you over leverage and you bought too much at the top. And now someone on the other side, this is the same thing. So don't get caught overpaying for tickers in 2026. Don't do no overpays because you could be trading, right? Your overpay for what is going to be essentially the next big thing. So don't put your money in Palantir. I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I want to be loud about it. No one buy Palantir Technologies. We ain't saying that Palantir gonna crash and burn, but if you buy it here, you are overpaying. And I'm gonna clip this thing up. Do not buy PLTR. We ain't saying Palantir is done going up, but it doesn't have rationale sense because you would be overpaying for Paul George at this level. That's what I'm gonna say. And you might be getting blindsided and robbed and thinking that it's something else because that's what the Clippers thought. We gonna have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, two Mr. Never Availables. What's your most valuable asset? Your availability. You got to be in the game to win the game. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George take nights off way too much. And Kawhi Leonard ain't played consistently. And so we don't need to be in tickers where we're not going to be getting the playtime. What we got our money, we put our hard-earned money in companies that can't give us nothing. That's not even providing no value. That's just taking our money, churning it, and blowing it. Got a high cash burn. So these are just the facts. So Sam Presti, what did he do? He took assets from everybody. He took assets from Brooklyn. He took assets from everybody across the NBA. He took the assets. He stockpiled the assets to where now he has so many different opportunities to be right. People don't even see where he was wrong at. Because there's been some things he's been wrong, but you can't even find it. You want to know why? Because it's wrong. You ain't even been able to see if it's wrong. He got so many assets, they at the end of the bench. You ain't even see them really been wrong. Why? Because as soon as something start happening, we got somebody else to put in. That's why Sam Presti the GOAT, because he fleeced the entire NBA. He took Steve Ballmer and he took all his lunch money. That's what he did to Steve Ballmer. Yeah, you built the Intuit Dome and you did all of that, but who really coming to see you to play, bro? Who coming over there to see you to play? Great arena, great space, but who's coming over there to see play? The Clippers? Really? 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 The Clippers? Really? You want to watch them? Okay. Kawhi Leonard, you don't know if he gonna show up. You don't even know if he playing tonight. James Harden, we appreciate the beard, one of the best players ever. We ain't gonna get nothing twisted about it. But you overpaying Kawhi Leonard. And James Harden took a pay cut. So you only think about that. You should be putting your money in assets at a discount. You see, if James Harden was saying, I'm taking max, you would have been shipping his butt somewhere else. So don't never pay max money for these tickers, especially for the ones that's declining in value. That's the key thing. When a ticker reaches peak and its pinnacle, we ain't saying it's the highest point, but Palantir makes no sense to buy. And I'll debate anybody on it. You want to put your money in Palantir? I know how this story could end. And it makes no sense for anybody to put their money in Palantir at these levels. Why? Because you about to become my exit liquidity. Because I'm about to Sam Presti you. That's the way I want you to think about this. I'm about to Howie Roseman you. I'm about to get you and I'm about to ship you. You know what Howie Roseman did to get rid of his headache? He sent Chauncey Gardner Johnson to the Texans, but then he got someone to protect Jalen Hurts' blind side. If you know what I'm talking, this is the piece that I want to say. You got to go around, just like Howie Roseman making those moves. I want you to be Howie. I want you to be Sam's. That's how we got to be the GM when we looking at this stuff. Because right now, the people in Palantir, and we ain't saying it's done going up because I think Palantir going to go to 201. But it wouldn't make sense. That's a trade. There's a difference between a trade and an investment. It makes no sense to buy Palantir at these levels, not unless you want a shot at getting cooked and finessed. And that's what's been happening. People come in and buy at the top. Oh, you buying to become somebody's exit liquidity, or AKA Sam Presti just come in and pressed you. Howie Roseman just got you. And you wondering how he did it. Because Howie done got you. How he do that? How he got that team? That's what it is. And the last thing I'll say about this, and we'll move on for sports. Let me tell you this right now. AJ Brown want to keep acting up. We gonna analyze that deal when it happened. Let me tell you something. AJ Brown, you keep talking, bro. You about to be an asset on the decline. And how he gonna ship you out of there? And he gonna get some things nice back for you. That's all I'm gonna say. So pay attention. You can use these analogies with sports. If you're gonna watch sports, you better use it this way because that's the way I look at it. Tua, he's done. We getting you off the books, bro. 250 million. You too expensive, bro. We got you. He a high PE business. We ain't paying for that. You a 300, 400 PE business, bro. You on the decline, bro. Just what it is, man. Because you can't stay on the field. Just what it is. And this is how you should be looking at these businesses the same way. And for my sports people, if this making sense to you guys, I want to see some fires in the chat. I need to see some fires in the chat. For my sports people, if this is making sense to you guys today, I want to see you guys putting some dropping some fires in the chat if y'all picking up what I'm putting down. Because this is the business side of it. We're evaluating businesses. We don't pay businesses, these are players. We don't want to overpay for these players. We want to get them at the right price. The Browns got Shadur at a 4-year, $4.7 million contract. And you made all the money back that you going to pay Shadur through his jersey sales. And you want to pay Deshaun Watson, Mr. Never Available? You want to keep him on the hook? You're paying for a declining asset. They gave Deshaun Watson 5 years and $230 million. $230 million for what? To go spend money on your girlfriend and your now wife and you just blowing money? You don't play, bro. You ain't on the field. We got to stop buying tickers that never get on the field for us. You want to know it's the ticker that's on the field for us all the time? That I think is once again going to be, it's about where you buy this ticker. Let's talk next. Let's talk next about where you buy this thing. Let's talk about MicroStrategy. You don't want to get caught overpaying for MicroStrategy. That's the biggest thing, right? So in this cycle, we have BTC, which a lot of NFL players and NBA players should just take their salaries in BTC over this next year. That would be the smartest thing. I told a couple people that a lot of NFL players and NBA players should take their salary in Bitcoin over this next year because when Bitcoin hits 50, 60K, that'd be a strategic time. A lot of those NBA players and NFL players should take their salary in Bitcoin, right? And really be serious about it because they're going to get the best opportunity just like us. We got to take our money that we're making, our profits and our salaries, etc., and we should be getting involved in Bitcoin. And MicroStrategy is about where we play. MicroStrategy is an up and down asset. So we got to know that we can't overpay. What I equate MicroStrategy to is it's about where you get a player at. So when a player may be past their prime or a player is entering the backside of their careers, you don't want to overpay for them, but you don't necessarily not want to pick them up because there's more than just play that can be provided, right? You have a Chris Paul, which is going to provide mentorship. You have a Bobby Wagner who plays for the Washington Commanders that played in Seattle. He can provide mentorship. So it's not just all you have a Jacoby Myers who's been around, who just got paid in Jacksonville. He can provide mentorship to a Travis Hunter or a Brian Thomas Jr. about how to be a professional. So the thing is you just want to also take shots. You don't want to just say just because something's declining in play that you don't actually buy it. When something is declining in play, you also should look at the other tangible things because it's not just the play that makes the player. So it's not just the numbers that make the ticker. Listen to what I'm putting down. It's not just the numbers that make the ticker. It's also about what are the other components and do you understand the DNA? It's about what price you pay. So when you look at BTC, Bitcoin right now, you know that this is an asset that every third year of the halving, because we have more data now, we can say this, right? We have more data. And so one of the things that I'll stress to people is with us having this more data, we can now look at BTC and see these cycles a bit more. The third year after halving, a lot of times has been the best year to buy Bitcoin. So 2018 was the third year after the 2016 halving. 2022 was the third year after the 2020 halving. 2026 is about to be the third year after the 2024 halving. So when you line these things up, if BTC comes down to 50,000 next year, I can equate that there will be no fear on this zone because we've already prepped and prepared for it, right? Because we know that next year we're expecting that to be the best price for us to get based upon this history. We have now 8 years worth of history right there that we can go and say that third year after having provides us the best entry price. But I'm gonna say this, that third year, his price has always been higher. 3,500 in 2018, 15, 16,000 in 2022. What will be the number and the price for 2026? Maybe 50, maybe 60. Could it go below 50? It could. Do I think it is? No. But what I want to stress is no one should miss this opportunity to get BTC because this may be your last drop underneath 100K. This may be it for getting Bitcoin underneath 100K. Just think about it. If we're going off of price history, we can only believe that Bitcoin goes up. Now, we're not saying 250 happens like the 250 boys said. Everyone said 250, 250, 250, 250, 250. 250 never happened. And I think we all be grateful that 250 never happened because it'll be out of a lot of people's ballparks. Right now, I believe, and I want to just speak this over people, right? You got to have that belief. Because if Bitcoin comes down to 50,000, I'm confident that most people is going to find a way to get a Bitcoin, most determined people, right? There's a shot for everyone to get at least one Bitcoin during this next drop. Over this next year, I'm confident that once again, for some people, they already ready to just get the Bitcoin. Other people is just like, hey, I got some work to do. The piece that I want to say is just like at the end of the day, we have a shot to get Bitcoin at 50, 60K. There's a shot. There's a strong chance. There's a 50-50 chance, in my opinion, we got a shot to get it there. The question is, are you going to do the things now to make sure you're in position? Because this next time, it may as well go to 250. My personal opinion is 175 to 200K. That's my next Bitcoin run. I think we go to 175 to 200K. I could be right, I could be wrong, it could go more. And obviously we would invite more, right? We don't necessarily, but we also want to be realistic. So 175 to 200K is my next Bitcoin cycle target. And I think after that, you never see Bitcoin go underneath 100K again. I think it'll fall. And next thing you know, it'll break over. Once it breaks over 250,000, I think it'll never go below 200 again. So that's my thing. Bitcoin will just continue to go up in value over time. And the drops will be continue to become less, 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 and less. But this is about where you're paying. Super important. Make sure you understand to not overpay for these assets. I want to stress that. Do not overpay. I need you guys to understand. Do not overpay for these assets. You want to pay discounted prices. Do not get howied or do not get prestied because that's what these market makers been doing to a lot of people, prestying them and howieing them. And those are two of the best gentlemen in the game, hands down. I'm gonna give a special shout out to a couple other people as well too. I'm gonna give a special shout out to Pat Riley down there in Miami. Listen, Pat Riley didn't care, Jimmy Butler. We got players, bro. We got the Pat Riley way. We got players. We got players. We bring players in here for real. LeBron, you can go too, bro. Get you up out of here, man. I got time for you to on this stuff. You can go ahead and go, bro. Get yourself up out of here. Because we ain't gonna be having you blame it on Dwayne Wade knees now. We ain't gonna be accepting that disrespect because we seen the performance you put in San Antonio. You tucked your tail and went back home to Cleveland because you was trying to blame Dwayne Wade's knees, bro. And then Chris Bosh had his blood clots and you tried to throw people under the bus, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. These just the facts. We ain't gonna talk about the fact that game 6, you was a no-show against Dallas Mavericks and you was coughing, bro. You and Dwayne Wade was making fun of Dirk Nowitzki. He put that step back fadeaway on your behind and whooped your tail, and you was getting cooked by JJ Barea, respectfully. He's shorter than 5'10", and he was busting you. I'm sorry. I'll leave that one alone. Might have some LeBron people in here. And I'm a LeBron fan, but Jordan my GOAT, and I never seen him play. I'm born in 99. Any man that come in and win 3 rings, take 2 years off because he got personal issues, come back and win 3 more, that's the GOAT. If we want to really have a conversation, you can't have no GOAT conversation without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, respectfully, because he's the trendsetter, right? That's what all these young kids say, the trendsetter. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there was nothing like him, respectfully. And we ain't seen nothing like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar since. Shaq was dominant, but the best Laker of all time was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Second best Laker was Kobe Bean Bryant, respectfully. Just what it is. You got to pay homage. You got to know your ball, know your game. Kareem is just nothing like him, man. I don't care if he played back in the day. Nothing like him. And the third best Laker of all time is Magic Johnson. Just what it is. Magic Irvin Johnson. Kareem, Kobe, Magic. Then Shaq. That's just how it goes down. So just what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? So know your players and know your overpays. Be a GM. You know what I'm saying? We could all take notes from how these GMs evaluate their systems. And we could take that same system and say, are we overpaying for this player? Essentially, this ticker. We should ask ourselves that question before we ever put a dollar into a name. Did we overpay? And it's not the fact that we can't overpay, but it's just to be mindful because where we overpaid, we should be mindful and we should cut at the right spots. So I think that's once again super, super, super duper important. Jerry Jones got a decision to make because now he got to potentially, well, not potentially play, he got to decide because you don't let George Pickens walk out the league right now. I mean, walk out of your a building right now. He ain't walking out of the league. You don't let him walk out your doors. But now you got to decide: am I really going to commit all this money to Dak because I got him on the books, highest paid player, and you probably overpaid him, and you overpaid CD. Jerry has $400 million committed to 2 players, Dak and CD, which ain't won playoff games. Now I gotta pay Pickens and I got a Logan Wilson. Let me explain this. Let me explain this. Let me break this down. Logan Wilson came from Cincinnati. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Is Cincinnati's defense good? Cincinnati's defense is not good. Was Logan Wilson a good pickup? Yes. But that's picking up a declining ticker at a discount. Logan Wilson, no disrespect, is a good player, but you picked Logan Wilson up at a discount. So I want you guys to look at it once again with these tickers. Let's pick up things at discounts. Very, very, very important. Discounts. It's about where you pick up the name. So don't allow 2026 to come in and let me give you ANET. 70 to 80 bucks, in between around $70. That's where you want to get this. This thing goes to 70. That's where you want to buy. So you see how I already have a predetermined price up front? Is I want to buy ANET at 70 bucks again. Rinse and repeat. I took it off the book. Why? Because I felt like ANET stretched itself too far for my liking. So I took profits. But if ANET came back around, that's the same way as a player coming back around to you again and getting another stint. Shout out to Kareem Hunt. Obviously, he has some things he dealt with. He did some unfortunate things, but the Chiefs came back around to him and got him at a great price. He obviously had to atone for some of the mistakes that he made. He shouldn't have done those things, but he atoned for it, made a mistake, moved on, and he did what he needed requisite. He handled his business. But guess what? Sometimes getting these tickers, when they do, this is the same thing as getting a ticker, right? Getting a company that fell from grace because they had to step back for a second, and you're getting it at a good price. So once again, I do think that is very, 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 very important. Once again, very, 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 very important. So I do want to say this to you guys here right now is when things step back, when tickers pull back, right? Evaluate them and say, yo, I want to get a shot at this company at this price. So let's not waste no time at all. Let's not waste no time. Set your discounted prices and be willing to step in and prepare. And if those prices don't come, be comfortable to say, man, I didn't get it at that price, but I'd rather not buy a ticker and overpay than overpay and lose. Like you can also look at when something does pan out that you would have overpaid for. It's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Versus you getting up in arms because you can't get everything. That's not the goal of this. You can't get every ticker. You can't. You can't. I mean, think about it. You think most GMs don't want most players, but you got to have the players that's on you. You can't get every player. You got to get what you can afford on a max contract. That's why there's a certain limit to max contracts. So that's the way you should look at it. It's balancing. And so those are the things I wanted to discuss this morning. I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Leave you guys with that. We ran a couple minutes over. Tomorrow, we'll be back at 7 promptly. And we're gonna have some extra bonus classes. And tomorrow I want everyone to be here on time. And I'm going to do a special giveaway. I also want you guys to share this with your family and friends because this Zoom is completely free tomorrow. So I'm gonna blast this out. I'm doing my big giveaway. So 7 to 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm unleashing the bazookas. I sound like JP from April 13th, 2020. I know my numbers, my stuff, man. I sound like JP, April 13th, 2020. Know your dates. I think it was 13th or 14th, right? 2020. Go pull it up. Bazookas. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. When Federal Reserve when he said bazookas, I said, what? JP was talking that stuff. Go back and listen to that. He said we got bazookas. And boy, oh boy, he had some bazookas. Shout out to JP Jerome Powell. Man, I'm gonna miss JP. I like JP, man. JP wasn't with the foolishness, man. He's like, you just making that up. You just coming up with that. Where are you pulling that from? JP never backed down from DT. He didn't. Never backed down from him at all. So I got a lot of love for JP, man. I know his time is coming to an end, but JP, I like JP, man. That's pretty much, I mean, outside, I had Janet Yellen for like 2 years, but JP was my whole career. So obviously, I don't think he was as great as what I've read of Paul Volcker and, the different people that we've had, Alan Greenspan. But I think JP deserves his credit. You feel me? I wouldn't take his credit from him. I think it's sometimes hard to compare as well too because you have different things you're going to go through. I thought JP was the right person for the job this whole time. Hell, DT's the one who put him there in the first place, ironically enough. So that's my whole point that I'll say with that. But excited, man. I want you guys here. Tomorrow's going to be fun. So that's what I'm going to say. Bazookas, bazookas. So that's what I'm pulling a JP tomorrow. I'm letting you know over here in BWSO we about to pull the bazookas out. The bazookas is coming out. Bazookas. So excited. I appreciate y'all for your time. I'll go ahead and get ready to head to this Christmas event at my gym. Super excited to be of service today. And the last thing I'll say, man, is just serve. One thing I've learned, serve the purpose that God is intended for you. Just serve. Everything else will be fine when you just focus on serving. And that looks different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I know many of people have church homes that you guys go to. Be of service. You know what I mean? And be of service your way. Do the instructions and the things that the person you believe in, not everyone believes in the same God, but for the most part, majority of people believe in some form of God. All right. So be of service. That's all I can say. I'm not a Bible thumper or I can quote certain literature and scripture, but be of service. That's one thing I'll say. And follow what he tells you to do because we all have a divine purpose to serve. And at the end of the day, we only get one of these. And eventually we got to go answer the call. And for what you believe in and how you believe you get there your way, there'll be things you got to answer to. And you want to be able to answer to those and say, hey, these are the things that I did. I served. Be of service. So great people. I appreciate y'all. I'll get these recordings in and I'll see you guys 7 a.m. sharp tomorrow. And if there's anything, I'll post it in the Discord. I appreciate everybody's time this morning. I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a blessed one. Thank you.